my older brother. He's about 6 years older than me. So when he was in high school, I was in middle school, and he played basketball and ran cross country. And he used to wake me up at 1 and 2 in the morning to make me go run miles with him.
Welcome to Women Empower Active, an initiative started by UR Sportswear to empower women to find their own active adventure. I am your host, Jacqueline Gross.
Hello, my name is Erica, and I am your host today. Here we have Najah Floyd. She went to Central Michigan University. She ran track there. She also ran for Maximum Output on AAU. She is phenomenal track athlete, doing 400. She still competes here and there. She's very athletic and in shape. And then she also studied sociology and mental health at Central Michigan University. And that is what her discipline is right now. She also has her master's degree as well. Also, so I would love to hand the baton off to Najah for her to introduce and tell us more about yourself, and we'll go from there.
Like Erica said, I went to Central Michigan University, studied sociology. Then I went on to get my master's in mental health counseling. I am still very active in the track world. I am a head coach at Southfield A&T. This was my first year, challenging year, but my first year there. And then also this summer, I am coaching with the club team that I ran for when I was a teenager, Maximum Output, as did Erica. So that's what I'm busy doing these days. And of course, keeping myself in shape.
I was really interested to talk to you, Najah, because Erica said that running kind of changed your life. And I wanted to know, how did you get into running?
Oh my goodness, changed my life. Okay. So I grew up on the east side of Detroit, went to Denby High School, and while I was always smart and in class, I was a bit of a troublemaker. So getting into altercations with other young ladies, and one, in fact, caused me to be put out of all Detroit public schools, and I had to go to an alternative school where I absolutely hated it for my 10th grade year. And I just told myself that I had to get it together and find another path, and I wanted to go to college. So luckily, they allowed me back in Detroit public schools. And as soon as I got there, my brother walked me to the track coach and got me on the track team. And it just went from there. And at a track meet, I met Stan Edwards. And he said, hey, you should come out and run for Maximum Output. And I did that, and I was able to travel, and it allowed me to develop so much discipline and work ethic running for that team. And it carried on into college, where I had a great career at Central Michigan. I held the conference record. It was just broken this year by someone from Miami, Ohio. But I still have the school record in the 400 and the school record in the 200. And that time also qualified me for Olympic trials. That was like 2007. So track absolutely changed my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal story, and it's so relatable. Like it's so cool, especially the impact that you have. Like, it's just amazing. So
and that's why the girls, especially the girls that I coach, I try to push them so much, because I know the impact that it can have on their lives.
I know our viewers would love to know, because if they knew what I knew about you, you are very, very disciplined, motivated, and on top of things. So I know our viewers would love to know, how do you stay motivated? Because it is tough mentally, always going and working out, and you stay on it. Like, you are on it.
And Erica, I get that question a lot, especially like my little followers on Instagram. They always ask me, like, how do you stay motivated? They've been watching me for years. The number one thing is it's fun for me. It's not a job for me to get up and go to the gym. It's like I can't wait to get to the gym and work out. The other thing is I work out late night. usually around 10 o'clock. And I get to go, I put the headphones in my ear and I can zone out, and like all the stressors from the day, anything I went through, it's gone. I don't think about it. I just zone out. So that's really how I stay motivated. It's like a therapy for me at the end of the day versus going out hanging and stuff. I go to the gym.
Right. And you still travel, like before COVID, like you were traveling, competing in meets. How did you like transitioning from college and competing like very competitively as an adult? How did you know where to get these contacts and compete? And did you have to fund yourself or get sponsors?
So I was training with Stan Edwards at University of Michigan, and there is an agent. He's based here in Michigan. He's gonna kill me. I can't think of his last name, but his company is Codgington Elite. And he really just saw me training, myself and another young lady. He just saw us training, and he offered us the opportunity to be able to go overseas and train and things like that. So, we went to Trinidad and Tobago and some other places. It was really, really great. So that's how I got into it. Someone just really just saw us training and was like, hey, can I be your agent? And I was like, sure.
Wow. So what are your you have any upcoming events that you're competing in? Like you're working out at 10 p.m. Are you focused in on anything? Like what?
So it's funny that you asked that. While I was at practice yesterday, myself and a former athlete, a 400-meter athlete, Erin Humphrey.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, you're working out with her.
Yeah, so we're coaching together right now. So Erin Humphrey, I believe she was a state 400 record meter holder at one point. So she asked me, she said, so what do you think about the Masters? And what the Masters is, Jacqueline, if you're not familiar, is when you get a little older, over, I believe it's between 30 and 35. And it can go older than that. We can compete in what we call the Masters USAs, and basically track for older people. Mm-hmm. So she asked me, what did I think about doing that? And when I was at a track meet, another coach asked me, that's familiar with me, asked me, what did I think about doing the Masters? So I've been thinking about it. It wouldn't be the 400. It would definitely be the 800, because I don't think my body can take 400 training anymore. So I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about the Masters and training for the 800.
Definitely do that. If you decide, let me know.
Yeah, I will.
I ran the 800 at Michigan State.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm super excited for you. What makes you, what made you want to switch over to the 800?
There has been so many coaches that told me, you should have ran the 800, you should have ran the 800. And I'm like, oh, blah, whatever. So just one random meet at Canada, I had a little strain in my quad. And so my coach decided to put me in the 800. I had no training. I was hurt, and I ran a 208. And so, so they were like, we told you. So that's why, because I think I can do with real 800 training and being healthy, I can run something good. Mm-hmm. So that's why.
Yeah. Wow, that's exciting. I'm getting excited for you.
You said, how long were you coaching for the high school girls? 2 years or longer?
In 2019? I think the 2019 season, I was at Harper Woods High School. And then just this year, I just completed a season at Southfield A&T. It used to be Southfield High School. So.
Nice. How was that during COVID?
You know what? I think since, I don't want to say it was nearing the end, but people were kind of getting more relaxed. We actually had a lot of kids come out, about 50 kids come out to train. And Southfield was really good about COVID testing every Monday. We were really good about making sure that the kids had their masks on. And staying socially distanced at practice. Of course, it's a little difficult sometimes because they want to gather and talk, but and it was outdoors, so it wasn't as hard as people would think.
That's awesome. That's pretty good.
So we made it through with no issues with COVID.
I was going to ask you too, because you have a master's in clinical mental health. Is that intentional? Did you do that before you decided to coach, or was it just, at the same time, you just thought it would be helpful?
Okay, so yeah, I currently am a probation officer, and I was noticing the kids needed a lot more than just punishment and sanctions. And so I wanted to be able to do more for them. And eventually I'll move into the individual mental health counseling. So I just wanted to have that background so that I knew how to deal with kids that came in my office that had severe trauma in their background, or was dealing with depression or anxiety or anything like that. I wanted to have that background so that I can help them more as a probation officer rather than just punishing and handing down sanctions and things like that. So it was intentional, yeah.
Wow, that's really impressive. So you kind of went out there on your own to figure out a better way to help the people that you see, the children that you see.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I just needed more understanding.
Yes, exactly. That's hugely important. So do you take this kind of approach as well, with your athletes? Are you using some of that background with coaching athletes as well?
Oh, absolutely. It's to me, it's easier to tell when you're dealing with a kid that is just doesn't want to practice that day, or you're dealing with a kid that has some things going on at home. And I actually recently ran into that where a young lady, she just came to practice and she wasn't talking, and she wasn't really working hard in practice. And some coaches, they'll just get on you and yell at you and make you run. And she went to the bathroom, and I noticed she was gone for about 5 minutes, and I followed her to the bathroom, and she was down in the bathroom just bawling, crying. And so having that background, I know the questions to ask without being too evasive or making anything worse, and also the things that I need to say to her to get her back on track and focused. So it really does help, because I feel like if I was a naive coach, I would have just yelled at her and told her to go home or something like that, which I have done before. So, but knowing that difference, having that background really helps you decipher that difference.
Going through and getting that education, did that change things for yourself too? Did you kind of grow from that experience, or have you always had this really, it seems like you have a very strong will, and
thank you.
It's very impressive. And like Eric was saying, that you're just very structured, and so it seems like you already had a very good head on your shoulders. But did you learn anything about yourself going through that education?
Did I learn anything? I'm sure I did. Can I think of anything off top? Did I learn anything about myself? Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure I did though.
Yeah.
Because it was such a process. It was trying to work, train, and complete my master's. So maybe that's what I learned.
Right, time management.
Yeah, time management, and that I'm a good multitasker, baby. That's
right. Yeah, how did you do that? How did you time manage everything? Because you said you work out at 10. I mean, by that time I want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
But you've had a full day, and then now you're still exerting energy at night. So how did you fit everything in?
Naps, Erica. No. Just really having the will to really want to finish it and accomplish my goal. That was really, really a goal of mine that I needed to accomplish, and I could not fail. So I just had to stick it out. And yes, some days I was very tired and I did not want to do it, but I did it.
Yay. You got it done. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think mental health is so important. It's something that we focus on. And the children or kids that you coach are really lucky to have a coach that has that kind of in the forefront of your mind at all times.
What are your thoughts about women in sports in general, like the whole sports industry for women?
I think it's great. I do know I'm very inspired by Alison Felix and now the gymnast Simone Biles standing up and leaving Nike and going, I believe it's Athleta, which is not a popular sports brand at all. I never heard of it. But just to stand up for motherhood and how things should go and how women should be treated in sports. Because we have babies, we do things like that, and we should be treated no differently than our male counterparts. So as far as that, I think that's awesome. And I think the women athletes are great, of course.
Right? Agreed so much, for sure. Hopefully we have change so that no one has to move in order to make a statement.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Your agent just found you working out and then was like, I'm going to sign you. Do you feel like that's not a situation that normally happens with other female athletes?
I don't think that it is. However, that particular agent, I recently spoke to him and I said, I'm going to have some athletes coming up. So make sure you stay around. And he's like, yeah, sure. So I don't think that's very common, but I think it will be.
An agent for a track is a lot different than an agent for like football.
Yeah. Well, my experience with him, it was great. I didn't have, and I don't know how football agents operate. I'm not really familiar with it, but I just do know my experience with the one that I had was great. He basically did everything and just told me what time to be at the airport. So all I can say to them is just to work hard, and you never know who's watching you. And that goes for when you're at practice, when you're not at practice, when you're on social media, you never know who's watching you. So just work hard and make sure you're presentable at all times, I guess.
You said you were juvenile probation officer. Wow.
Yeah.
When this happened with you when you were younger and you kind of got into some trouble, do you feel like there's not, like, you had the opportunity to go into track and they let you back into school, which was, lucky, but I feel like that doesn't happen very often. But do you feel like Black women, particularly because they're looked upon as being like older than they are kind of like a target for that to happen?
Probably, I would say more likely because of the environment. I do notice that the young women that come into my office that are African American, their environment is so broken down. I met one today who was she did not want to go to school. She doesn't want to do anything. And I really had to talk to her about it. And she has a background that, that I won't disclose. It's horrible. And there's no guidance. There's no structure. There's no parent support. There's nothing. And I think that's so common with the kids that I see. So I really think it's their environment, and they just don't have that opportunity, and they don't have that knowledge, and they don't have the adults in their lives pushing them in that direction. So it's kind of like, once you get in trouble, we're going to throw you away rather than help you get on the right track.
Did you have, because you did change, you did, get into sports and your life changed. Did you have that person in your life? Was it your parents or your coach or somebody else to kind of get you on that track? Was it coming like internally? Like, I have this power to create this change for myself? Or like, where did that come from for you?
I absolutely did. Later in life, I totally had the coach, Stan Edwards, but earlier, my older brother, he's about 6 years older than me. So when he was in high school, I was in middle school, and he played basketball and ran cross country. And he used to wake me up at 1 and 2 in the morning to make me go run miles with him. And he would always say to me, I don't care how tired you get, you better stay close to me. So I always had that determination, like I can't disappoint. I got to stay with my brother. So he would always just take me on runs with him, and make sure that when I did go on runs with him, I worked hard and I didn't give up, no matter how bad it hurt, because it hurts. It hurts. So
Yes.
so he was a very huge influence in my life early on.
For like the changes that happened within you, like when did it kind of click that you're like, oh, I'm good at this? Like,
oh, when I would basically race everyone in the neighborhood, and I was like beating the older men and the older boys, and I'm like, wait a minute, I think I'm kind of fast. So that's really when it clicked. I was just like beating everybody in the neighborhood.
so inspiring. Seriously, I get chills. I just love when people, women specifically, talk about overcoming anything. It just, it brings me so much joy. And so I'm just glad that you kind of got out of that position, and you got yourself out of that position, and and kind of got on this track. I know you said just now that you were, or earlier, you're talking about the 800 and potentially going after that. What other goals have you set for yourself? I mean, it can be running, but anything else that you've been really trying to focus on?
In the future, I would like to have my own practice, mental health practice, and focusing on at-risk youth, the youth that I see.
Is there anything that you're going to do differently that it's not happening currently, or anything that you're going to focus on for that?
Yeah, I would turn the parents or the guardians away from the court system. That is not a last resort. That's not a resort at all in my mind, because 10 times out of 10, most of these kids just need guidance, support, and a positive influence in their lives. They do not need the court system. I think the court system just pushes them further down the wrong road. So yes, I would definitely deter them from the court system.
What do you think mental health plays in sports? Do you think there is attention in mental health in sports? I know we did touch on this earlier, but do you think there's becoming more awareness across the board?
Oh yeah, because I believe I've been seeing the tennis player Naomi Osaka. She said she needs to take a break for mental health purposes, and I think it's very important. I also think that should be something that's built into all athletes' contracts, and it could be, and I don't know, but mandatory sessions, like go talk to somebody, take a break. Things like that. So I think it's getting bigger because of her, or people are understanding and realizing that it's huge. That's a lot of pressure. I don't know. I'm not sure how old she is, but that's a lot of pressure for her to be on that stage. So I totally get it. I totally get it.
She's like one of the highest paid athletes as well, as a female and being so young. So, and after all that anxiety during sports and then going in front of millions of people.
Right. And I saw something recently on YouTube. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dr. Umar or not, but he was really criticizing her because of the country that she chose to represent, because I believe she's half Haitian and half Japanese, and she chose to represent the Japanese country. And he went on at least a 10-minute rant about criticizing her about her choice. So even things like that.
Wasn't she raised there? Like, that's her home for her.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We don't know the reason for her decision. So how can we criticize her? But turning on the TV and seeing something like that, I can't imagine.
Right.
In addition to the things that you named.
Growing up, when you got into track, did you think of doing any other sports as well? Were you engaged with other sports?
Absolutely not. My brother tried to get me to play basketball. I cannot dribble, catch, or anything. I have no coordination for that. All I could do is run. So no, track was always my focus. Good question.
Nice.
Track is always my focus.
That's fun.
He tried, but
He's like, no.
yeah.
I know I tried to do one meet, my coach had me do field events. And then after that meet, she was like, we're gonna have you stick with running. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I can relate. I think I tried high jump before and I was like, oh no.
It was pole vault. It was pole vault for me. So, and that,
Oh
that didn't last very long either.
Oh, that's brave.
Right. Pole vault is brave.
Is there something that you wish that you would have told your younger self?
Maybe get into track earlier than I did. I started when I was in the 10th grade. So what does that make me? 15, 16 years old. So I started really late, and I was lucky that Central even noticed me. So probably start earlier and cut the crap.
What advice would you give older adults that want to become active and stay active?
Find a reason, whether it's to relax, stay healthy, you want to look good, but find a reason, set a goal, and stick to it. Because if I miss like 2 days, I start getting anxious that I'm not completing my goal, that I'm not doing what I need to do. And so I just feel like if they just find a reason and set a goal, it'll be easier. I don't know. That's what I think.
No, that's a great advice. That's great, because if you're doing something with no purpose, it's kind of hard to stay motivated for sure.
Exactly.
Right.
When you are setting goals, are you creating any kind of like, do you stick things to your mirror? Do you put it on, put a note to yourself on your fridge? Is there anything that you do to like keep yourself on track?
I am totally a girl that has to write things down. So I have a day planner that if I lose it or leave it in the car, I'm totally lost without it. So I have a paper planner that I use often and every day. I wish I had it so I can hold it up so you guys could see it. But yeah, I keep a paper planner.
Do you have a coach right now that you're training with?
I'm not training with them, but Stan Edwards will always be my coach. So anything that I decide to do professionally, he would be my coach. Weight training and on the track also.
Like running has, given you so many things. Is there something that, like a particular instance that kind of like being around the running culture has like changed your perspective?
Yeah, that there's hope and there's a chance for anyone, regardless of their circumstances. When usually, I find kids believe that they're just stuck in their circumstances. And I was a perfect statistic. Single mom, grew up in a not so great neighborhood. Father wasn't around. No one around me was going to college. No one around me went to college. I was, to my knowledge, the only one in my neighborhood. So your environment and your circumstances does not have to define your future, and you can change it. You just have to work hard and realize that you are not your situation.
For young girls who are participating in track currently, what would you suggest or tell them that they should do or look out for, like if they were just running track for high school? Should they find an AAU track team? And if they did look for a AAU team, how could they decide which one to go to? And how could they get themselves to college running track as well?
Oh, Erica, I just went through that today. I sent out a mass text to about 10 athletes A lot of them were females. And we have been dealing with, it's like a popularity contest now on how they're choosing their track clubs to go to. And I would just say you got to look beyond that. Just because this young lady and this young lady and this young lady is fast, that doesn't mean that's the track club that you belong to. You need to find a track club that's about development. That means you're not running the same times for the 3 years. So that's about development. That's about discipline. That has had success with sending athletes to college after they leave the club. So considering things like that, how they should pick a track team, not the popularity, not the popular team. So I've been seeing a lot of that.
Because you're right, like sometimes growing up, kids just want to fit in. So they make their decisions based off where all the popular people are going and where can I be popular and just have fun.
Yeah.
But not realizing fundamentally it could be life changing and can set the course of the rest of your life if you decide on an AAU team on fundamentals and development, like you said.
Mm-hmm. And I've experienced it. I went through it, and it has set the tone for my whole life. And I've talked to other athletes that came from the same AAU team that I ran for, and they say the same thing. I know what my AAU team did for myself and athletes across the board, football, track. I know what I've seen, and I have not seen that from another club in Michigan. I have not.
And what about those young ladies who want to run track for college? Because I know when I was in high school, I was barely getting letters from colleges, if any, and I won my state track meet, but still didn't see any letters, and ended up going to a community center, which worked with me to help reach out to university in order to get offers. What are your suggestions to young ladies to get noticed and decipher which college they should go to?
I built those connections, and that's another thing that was great about my AAU coach is he already had those connections built. But building those connections themselves also, and talking to people and seeing where they can get in and just networking. Because I was like you, Erica. I'm like I think I'm fast, but I'm not getting any letters. And my AAU coach just reached out to coaches. So I just think building those connections, keeping those connections and relationships, and not ruining them, because I've been seeing a lot of that too, being at Southfield, and just being open, I guess.
Great advice.
One question I was thinking of when you were talking about this is like, I still remember this one woman or girl I worked out with at New Haven. Like, she was fast, but she ended up dropping out and like not wanting to do track, which I was just like so devastated about, because I'm like, oh my gosh, you could be so fast. Like, what's the number one reason do you think that happens, like in high school, when you know these young athletes are doing really well, but they still just don't want to pursue it?
Yeah, I'm dealing with that too. I think relationships, not having those relationships, and the motivation is not there either for some reason. I don't know what that's about. But I think having those relationships with, especially the adults around you, to keep you on track. So you don't have adults around you that understand and realize how important it is, and how this can pay for your whole college career. If you don't have someone around them pushing them and telling them, or reminding them of that, then they kind of just go off track. I'm dealing with that now. Really talented young man, he's just not focused, and I can only do so much. And if the parents aren't there pushing them, if the parents aren't coming to the meets, if the parents aren't excited about how well you're doing, then they're not. They need that support, for sure.
Totally agree with that, because that almost happened to me. Because when I was 7, Like, I dreamt like I'm gonna run at a university off a full ride, and I was going to do this. But then when I was getting, closer to college, and everyone else was getting letters, or certain type of people were getting letters, and not me, and then something tragic happened in my life as well, I was like, maybe like I'll give up. Maybe it's not for me. But then I was like, no, I dreamt of this since I was 7. Like, I have to get a scholarship to college. So yeah, it's all about, like you said before, what is your purpose of doing this? What was your purpose? Because initially I had a purpose, but then something tragic happened. It kind of took away my purpose, but I was like, I didn't dream of this for nothing, all this time for nothing. So kept pursuing it, and then having adults in your life, because some adults that were closer to me were very positive, but didn't have any experience or knowledge of collegiate athletes transitions from high school to college. So they didn't even know how to help me. So having to go to someone else who had those connections, but knowing how to even find that person was very valuable and important. So that was one of the main reasons why I was even able to go on a full ride scholarship, because of the support.
Yeah, so important.
As somebody who's really in a mental health space, like, what are some things that you've helped or have seen and kind of like helped your athletes to overcome?
Basically, just being mentally strong. I always say, let's see, track is like, I don't know, 40% talent and 60% mental, maybe more than that. So just really trying to help them become mentally strong and getting through the workouts. Because what I have noticed is that they want to quit. Everybody wants to quit when it gets a little bit too tough, when it gets a little hard, when it starts to hurt a little bit, they want to quit. And you just can't do that. You never get better. You can't even do that in real life, because things are going to get hard. You're going to hit barriers and hurdles. You can't give up. So just really trying to help them become mentally strong as well as physically.
Is there something that you would like to call out or discuss that needs to be said that we didn't ask you about?
I would just reiterate that, Lance, you are not your environment, and you can change it if you just work really hard.
We love to end our sessions with a word of empowerment from you to our audience.
The spotlight. Just work hard and take control of your life and set goals and live with a purpose. When you live with a purpose, I just believe everything just flows much more smoothly.
For all the viewers who are watching, what is one way like they can connect or support, for instance, coaching an AAU team? What can our audience do to support your positive influence that you have?
Stan, we're discussing that yesterday as far as fundraising. And so we did that earlier through, it's called Vertical Raise. And all they would have to do is provide their emails, and we would respond with a link that they could just click on and donate whatever it is that they would like to donate. So reaching out to me and providing an email, and I can send them the information if they would like to support in that way.
You want to call it out here?
Yes, it's so simple. It's najahtrack@yahoo.com.
Thank you so much for joining with us today. I hope you enjoyed our interview with Najah Floyd. She was amazing. She's phenomenal and very inspiring. If you had something that really connected with you today, please leave it below in our comment section. We would love to share what inspired you and help motivate us to talk more on those topics. If you have any topic that we didn't discuss that you would love us to share, please also add that in the comment section as well. Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
And you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at _Erica Mann, ERICAMANN.
You can follow at UR Sportswear on all social channels. And you could go to our website, which is the letter U, the letter R, sportswear.com. You can follow me personally at Jacqueline Gross. That's JACALYNGROSS on all platforms. Thank you for watching.